And now we get to the very first conversation for the day on the program, which has to do with the proposed probe of the Samuel Ortom administration by his successor, Governor Hyacinth Alia. He set up two committees, or commission of inquiries, basically looking into the income and expenditure of the Ortom administration from May the 29th, 2015 to May the 28th, 2023. And also another committee to look into issues of lease of assets and sales and all of that by the Ortom administration. Of course, that has got the political class talking, which is why we're being joined on the program by the People's Democratic Party State Publicity Secretary to have this conversation with us. Is joining us via Zoom from Makurdi, the Benue State capital. We're being joined by Mr. Bengba Ortom. Thank you so much, Mr. Ortom, for coming on the program.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being on the program. Thank you.
Let's take your first and initial reaction as a political party to this development by the Alia administration to probe the government of former governor of the state, Samuel Ortom.
Yes, thank you for the question. And I must quickly establish that His Excellency Samuel Ortom, the immediate past governor of Benue State, has already reacted to the action by the executive governor of Benue State to probe his tenure of office. The immediate past governor has issued a statement to that effect and has expressed his willingness to avail himself before the probe panels that have been so put in place by the Alia administration, of course, as long as they operate within the ambit of the law. Having said that, the PDP has no problem with that. This is an administration that from 2018 was under the control of the party, and we have a sense of satisfaction that the government of His Excellency Samuel Ortom conducted itself in line with transparency, accountability, and in line with the manifesto of the party, the dividends of which are there for the people of Benue State to judge in terms of capital projects, in terms of social amenities intervention across the state, and also to the extent of taking care of workers' welfare as much as the resources available to the administration allowed the immediate past governor to do. So it's a welcome development. It's a welcome development. The immediate past governor has said that he will avail himself. And he has also called on appointees of his government who will be required to appear before the probe panels to avail themselves and answer questions as they may be required to do so.
My impression, Mr. Ortom, is that the former governor, is not worried, neither is the People's Democratic worried. One of the things that is of concern that we understand is allegedly, that he inherited a debt of, Governor Hyacinth Alia inherited a debt of over 358 billion naira, but the Ortom administration has claimed that they left a debt of about 175 billion naira by the record. But looking at the two claims, I want you to help us understand what is the right fact here. On one hand, 350-something billion being debt claimed by the current administration, and former Governor Ortom saying 170-something billion. But as at today, when you look at the MBS record from domestic to foreign debt, looking at the exchange rate, that debt stands at about 275 billion naira. So the question is, where are we getting the facts wrong? Second question will be, with all this money being spent or being borrowed, maybe not under that administration entirely, what was used? What was it used for that people of Benue can go back to and say, oh, this is what Ortom did for us?
Yeah, I think that the fact that Governor Hyacinth Alia had bandied a figure previously, even before going ahead to put in place the probe panel, underscores something which is fundamental. And this is the fact that this is a governor that has exhibited a presentiment towards his immediate predecessor since assuming office. We've had an asset recovery committee that Alia put in place and ordered to go about recovering what he claimed were looted assets of government. They went largely after vehicles that were in the custody of the immediate past governor and some functionaries of his administration. But it was a clear fact, it was an established fact that those vehicles had been given to the immediate past governor and those functionaries of government as an action of the executive committee of the state. They were backed by law. They were lawful assets in their custody. But we had an assets recovery committee which went around breaking into private properties to recover so-called looted assets. The governor himself went out in the media on a number of occasions and banding figures here and there about how much had been left by way of debt by the Ortom administration. And then today we have prop panels to still look into the issue of assets recovery and as well finances of the state. How sincere is this action? Becomes the first question. Why is it coming now? Now, to the question of how much the debt profile of the state under His Excellency Samuel Ortom was, I think that since the Governor Alia has put in place a prop panel, let's see what the prop panel brings up. Because if I should say that it is the figure that His Excellency Samuel Ortom has put forward that is the right figure, is still our word against theirs. And so he has at the same time accepted tacitly, by putting in place the prop panel, Governor Alia has accepted that even his own figure was merely conjectural. And so I think it will be right for us to wait for the findings of the prop panel regarding the finances of the state. And now to your second question as to what the resources of the state were utilized for during the administration of His Excellency Samuel Ortom, I can speak for the period between 2018 when he rejoined PDP and his administration came under the control of the party, that we have seen massive transformation across the state in terms of roads projects. Do not forget the fact that this particular governor we are talking about, His Excellency Samuel Ortom, holds the distinction of having executed the most coverage in terms of roads in Benue State. Here in Makurdi, the state capital city, over there in Boko, in Otupo, in Katsinala, in Valikia. This administration has executed roads projects in a manner to an extent that no governor has ever done in the Benue State. Now we have interventions in the areas of education. We have interventions in the healthcare delivery sector. We have interventions in the agricultural sector. This is an administration that procured and distributed tractors, farm inputs to farmers periodically. And of course, ignited the back to the farm culture. Benue State today is back on track as a major producer of food in the country. So there are evidences that this administration really utilized the resources that came to it.
If I may butt in, Mr. Alta, because of time, well, the inquiry committee will find out exactly how these monies were spent. This is essentially what it is, whether they will be able to justify what's on ground with what's been spent. But a quick one, just before we go, just your assessment of the governor's performance so far in the last, this should be about 8 to 9 months, the Governor Alia's performance, just in about 30 seconds. What's your impression? What is he doing wrong that you think he can get fixed? You're in the opposition.
Most of the things he's doing are wrong. This is a governor who has no sense of probity, no sense of transparency, no sense of accountability. This is a governor who embarks on projects, in a manner that is questionable. No project cost attached to the projects he's executing. And in fact, he had started most of these projects even before he had in place a cabinet to sit and look at those projects. So he has no sense of accountability. He has no sense of probity. He has no sense of transparency in the way he runs his administration. Insecurity is at its peak. In the state, he gave the Fulani herdsmen 14 days. Today, we are over a week into those 14 days. What is the guarantee that he's going to get the herdsmen out of the states when they are still coming in droves? He has tactically suspended the enforcement of open grazing in this state. And so this prop panel, this prop exercise is a diversion. It's a diversion from his own failures.
Ms. Ortom, thank you so much for your perspective. All of these allegations, I'm sure the Alia administration will be able to respond to all of them at the end of the day. But we'll watch out and see how things play out, because Benue State is an important state in Nigeria, just like every other state. We're having issues about food, and Benue State is known as the food basket of the nation. So what happens in Benue affects the entire nation. I must thank you, Publicity Secretary, Benue State of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Benba Ortom. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.